Hey guys, welcome to the YouTube channel. Today I want to talk about The Abyss on 4K. I actually got around to watching it finally, and I actually kind of prefer the 4K now. Like, it is, in my view, the best it's ever looked, which that's a given because it's been transferred to 4K. But yes, there have been changes to this movie. Before anyone starts saying, oh, but it's not pure, there has been changes. But the changes help the movie. And we'll talk about that in a moment. So, let's have a look at what's inside the 4K first. Obviously, we have a digital code, which I'm not going to reveal. We'll just put that aside. And we've got disc 1, which is the 4K. Disc 2, which is the Blu-ray. And I believe we've got a disc 3, which I've put behind the other, the Blu-ray version, which is bonus features. So yeah, you get 3 disc, although there's only slots for 2 of them for some reason. I'll put the digital code back in. So yes, that's kind of, and that's what the artwork looked like on that. And I'll show you the cover as well on this. Yeah, so you get the point. That's what it looks like. So why does The Abyss look so good on 4K? Well, for years and years, decades even, we have had to rely as a community on the DVD versions. And these were what a lot of us would have watched for the first time, like when we did see The Abyss. Now, obviously, Laserdisc has been out there, and also VHS, which I don't own, is also out there. But when I first watched The Abyss, it was on DVD. And there has been colour changes, but how do I put this in a way that everyone will understand? It helps the movie. I mean, the biggest problem with Cameron, with Terminator 2, was that when he redid the color grade and did the 3D conversion, he changed all the colors and it didn't actually match the film. So you had the Californian sunsets that a lot of people reference, and I reference as well. You have that beautiful orange colors and then you just turned it all blue. And it didn't suit Terminator 2. Whereas this has been adjusted, colors have been adjusted. It really pops. It really, like, the blues in this really pop. And the color grade, the new color grade in this, because you can tell there's been a color grade done to this, it sits the film, and it helps the overall film. Now, for reference, I watched the extended special edition 1993 version, which has extra scenes and I believe helps the movie overall. This does contain both versions of the movie. This contains theatrical and the 1993 special edition, which is what film should do. If it's coming out on a new format, they should preserve the original cut, but also have the director's cut, which 1993 special edition is Cameron's preferred version. And the 1993 version offers a bit more, I mean, it has a different ending, and, you know, some people prefer the theatrical cut, some people prefer the special edition. And I'm one of the people who, I don't mind either, as long as both are preserved. I am happy, you know, if they said, oh, we're only putting out this special edition, I'd be a bit more like, no, well, hold on one second, I want to at least have the option of seeing the theatrical version, which is a big problem with what happened with Star Wars. They basically erased the theatrical versions and forced the special editions onto us. This one doesn't do that. This one you have both options and you can choose which one you prefer. For me, I chose special edition, had the extra plot points and extra little details. It's a preference thing. You can Google it and see what people are saying. I usually just go for special edition. So, why do I prefer this version? I would say this is the definitive version of The Abyss. And why is that? Well, look, as I said, we came from DVD and Laserdisc, but there wasn't a Blu-ray release before this. So for years and years, this movie has essentially sat in the vault, untouched, like, compared to what Cameron did in previous edits with 1993, has basically sat there for about 30 years, untouched. And, yes, okay, so they would have had to scan it for the DVD transfer, I get it. And then, since the DVD transfer, whenever these came out, this would have been 2005 this DVD came out, so, you know, they would have done a scan probably early 2000s of The Abyss. And it's basically sat there for 20 odd years untouched. But to see a movie like this in such high clarity, now, there is DNR present, you can tell at certain scenes. But I will say that it doesn't, you would almost never recognize it. And I was watching along and I was like, oh, okay, cool. There's the tiniest bit of grain removal. You can see, like, there's still some grain in there, artificial grain re-added. But you can tell some scrubbing has been done. Not a lot, though. It's very... This is probably on par with Titanic, like, in terms of how they've done this, the DNR. Because Titanic didn't remove too much detail. And I believe this one didn't either. So, I would say it's the definitive way to watch The Abyss. The colours pop. I mean, it is Dolby Vision. It offers Dolby Vision. I've had Dolby Vision on my TV, which is a C9 OLED. Does it have Dolby Atmos? I'm just checking if it had Dolby Atmos. I don't know if it has Dolby Atmos, but I'm assuming if it has Dolby Vision, it would have Dolby Atmos. How strange. Okay. I'm going to assume it has Dolby Atmos as well, but I could be wrong on that. But when I was watching on my TV, it did have Dolby Vision. It was reading as Dolby Vision. But even if you're watching on a HDR TV, the colours just pop. And I would say the colour grade alone is worth picking this one up for. Now, I would also recommend that if you're a purist and you want to have the original untouched as close to theatrical as possible, then it doesn't hurt to keep your DVDs. It doesn't hurt. I mean, there are different... Obviously, it's a different colour grade. There are minor changes here and there. The story doesn't really get changed too much. It's more like, as I said, DNR, which is digital noise reduction, and grain removal, and, you know, little things like that. So it's worth keeping your DVD. As I do the same thing with Titanic. I've still got my original cut of Titanic, the original DVDs, and yes, Cameron changed that in 2012, and everything beyond 2012 was that 2012 cut. But I've still got the theatrical version of Titanic on DVD. And I could say the same thing about The Abyss. It's good to keep the original theatrical... this one does have the theatrical, but in terms of colour grade, in terms of what it would have looked like previously, it doesn't hurt to keep these ones either. The special effects don't look too bad. I mean, people have been saying, oh, you know, they don't hold up, and, you know, the title... Well, I don't want to go into spoilers, but hey, if you haven't seen the movie, I would recommend... There's a scene in this with a certain waves or so on, and you'll see what I mean. Like, the graphics... I mean, it's a product of its time, and Cameron hasn't redone it. There is also stunt doubles preserved in this cut. So as I said with True Lies, one thing that I really liked is that Cameron just didn't put Arnie's face on the stunt doubles, like he did with Terminator 2, which was another thing that really annoyed me. The stunt doubles in this movie have been preserved. You can see their faces in certain scenes. It can be a bit jarring to some people when they're watching the movie, and then suddenly you can tell it's a stunt double. But at the end of the day, it preserves the movie as is, rather than what Cameron tried to do with Terminator 2. And I believe this is the best way to experience it. It does have flaws, but the flaws are so minor that... Look, it's not going to impede your ability to enjoy The Abyss. It is probably a better version of The Abyss that looks better. But as I said, if you're a purist, DVD, Laserdisc, VHS, it's okay to keep the original versions. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But in terms of what I'll be doing going forward, this is my definitive version. Like, this is everything I could have asked for The Abyss. It does have some little details here and there, like I would have preferred if more grain was preserved, the original grain. But, you know, it is what it is with Cameron. He's obsessed to an extent with cleaning these up to look like they're brand new. But they're not brand new. So I would say with these, this is the version you would want to watch going forward. It's definitely better for, like... It's the most modern version. But if you want to know, I believe this might be on Disney Plus. You might be able to view it on Disney Plus before actually buying the Blu-ray. So you would be able to check a streaming option before you buy, just to make sure you're happy with it. I'll recommend this to anyone out there who is unsure about something and wants to try to understand whether they want to spend money on it, because it can be a bit pricey. I mean, this is kind of hard to get at the moment. And I only bought it because I got my hands on it pretty early. But you don't have to have a day one. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the DVD. There's nothing wrong with the Laserdisc. If you can't get it right now, it's a nicer version of it, don't get me wrong. It is my preferred version now. But it doesn't hurt either way you want to watch it. Like, this is just a bit nicer to watch. It's got a new color grade that helps it. And I believe the color grade alone is worth this. And you can tell a lot of restoration work has been done to this. It's great to see it looking this good. But as I said, that's just my opinion. It'll come down to preference. If you prefer the theatrical version, maybe the theatrical version of this looks a bit different. I don't know. I haven't watched it. I have watched the special edition version, and I would assume they're using a lot of the same color grade, a lot of the same thing in both cuts. So I'm going to say it is essentially looking the same, but I would prefer the 1993 special edition, which looks amazing on this. But as I said, it's a preference, and you have a choice with this one other than what Star Wars and so on give you, which is no choice. You will watch what we give you. This one actually gives you a choice. Do you want to watch theatrical, or do you want to watch special edition? And it's the same with DVDs previously. They gave you a choice. It's great to see the choice offered, is what I'm saying. But yes, would I recommend people to pick this up? Absolutely. If you can afford it. I mean, it is a bit pricey at the moment. It might be worth waiting for a sale on Amazon or something like JB Hi-Fi have a sale. I don't know if this is getting an Australian release, actually. But, like, it might be waiting for a sale online and then picking it up that way, if it's too expensive. Put it this way. It might be worth waiting for you, but you'd have to make that assessment yourself and decide whether it's worth paying full price. I would say it's worth paying full price, but that's a choice. We're in a cost of living crisis, a rental crisis, every other crisis you can imagine, food and cost crisis, inflationary crisis, everything's a crisis these days. But yes, if you can afford it, highly recommend. And I'll leave it there. Like, subscribe, drop a comment, notify. I've also turned on super thanks and all these other things. Like, I think I've got super thanks, super chats. I think I've got on everything now. So it's, except memberships. I don't want to do memberships until I've got enough content that I feel like it's worth people to subscribe to me, but I don't know. I'm not going to put anything behind the paywall for the time being. I don't think that's the right way to go. I think everyone can have access to my videos, and that's how I want to do it. I mean, there might be more in-depth things that I do that I might put behind a subscription, but I'm not thinking about that yet. But as I said, I've turned on super chats, I've turned on everything, because I'm struggling to get through all the comments. So I'm hoping that if people are really desperate to get a question through to me, they can, I don't know how much the thing costs. I just chucked it on whatever YouTube said. And YouTube will often tell me, hey, this is what other people are doing. And I'll just go, cool, you just tell me whatever. But I'm hoping that that will somehow highlight the comments at the top of my comment section whenever I go into a video. And I can hopefully get around to everyone who has a question that needs to be asked, or a suggestion about maybe a video they want to see. That's more or less what I'm offering super chats for. So it's not so much, I'm still reading every comment, don't get me wrong, I'm still in those comments. But I'm hoping that if someone has a suggestion for a video or something like that, it'll ping it a bit higher, and I'll be able to get around to it a lot sooner. Like, I don't know. But anyways, The Abyss. Highly recommend on 4K. Doesn't hurt to have the older versions either. I mean, they are kind of different versions because of the color grade on this one is different. And I prefer this one, but other people might prefer these ones. There's nothing wrong with the older versions. As long as you're watching The Abyss, it's amazing. But for a movie that's sat in the vault for 20 odd years, I love that this is now available to a new generation to experience it, whether it's on Blu-ray 4K or on Disney Plus. Kids are going to find this movie and watch it and be as taken away by it as I was when I first saw it. So yeah, this is where I'm going to end the video. And as I said already, thanks, like, subscribe, drop a comment, notify, I don't know, suggest stuff with Super Chat. Actually, don't donate to me if you can't afford it. Don't feel obligated. I'm still reading your comments. I'm still in those comments section, as I said. I'm still reading everything. But as I said, I'm not going to be able to get around to everything. So it is there if you feel like it. I will read it a bit. It'll be the first thing that pops up on my feed when I open a video, the comments, I'm hoping. And then, I'll hopefully come to your comment first. But, as I said, no obligation to do that. I'm still reading your comments. I'm still in those comment sections. I love that I have a community around me, and I'm not going to insult the community by saying, oh, I'm only going to read the super chats. No, I'll read every comment that is put there. I can't get around to everyone, but, if someone's willing to shell out like $1 or whatever, I'll get around to your comment a lot faster. It's like I will show you the respect that you show me. And anyways, I'm ranting on, so I just didn't want people to take the wrong assumption of why I've got super chats on and all this other stuff. It's because it helps me, and if it helps me see your comment faster, maybe you have a really good suggestion for the channel, but it's lost in amongst, especially with the gaming videos, it could be lost in amongst like 100, 200 comments, And I'm trying to get around everything, but it's just not possible. So yes, that is the mentality behind why I've turned it on. And anyways, The Abyss, do whatever you want. 4K is great. Peace out. I'll catch you in the next one.